All right. So, without further ado, I introduced him before. This is my Alan. I freaking love this man. One of the biggest reasons why I coach is because of the relationships that I develop from coaching. None of my friends, I don't have a single friend in this room right now who came from my life in Connecticut. They just don't. You are all people who I've cultivated through different networking events, different things, and it's really because I'm still closeted, somewhat. I tell everyone what I'm doing, but I don't tell most of my friends because they don't have a huge interest in it. And sometimes when you're very successful at something, no matter how much you try to make it sound a little less, it sounds like bragging anyway. And so I have kept it sort of a little bit, to some degree, quiet. I do end up getting most of the checks now in terms of when I go out to eat. I typically am getting the bill, I find. But that's okay. I don't mind it one bit. I'm in a situation where that's actually something that I demand usually. So without further ado, what I wanted to say about that is you get to get these gems of these coaching students that really change your life. And of course, Alan is one of them. Most of my coaching students have changed my life in some way, shape, or form. But Alan has turned into such an amazing friend to me. So I wanted him to come up because I think when you learn something also from a student, you can also see that if they can do it, you can do it. And I hope that when you look at me, I just smiled because Andre, I've been trying to say hi to you for like the whole time, but you keep running out, so hi. Another coaching student. I learned just as much from coaching and from my coaching students as they learn from me, I think. So without further ado, I get to introduce to you Alan Kua, and he's going to go through what he's done. But what I did want to say was, if this brain can do it, which is obviously discombobulated sometimes, especially after lunch, all of you can do it. There's nothing special about my brain. It's just that I have worked it and learned it and gotten myself into situations where I can be involved with it. And, we were talking a little bit, someone had said, how do you know what the banks want? How do what is it step by step by step by step by step? It's not always step by step by step by step by step, because there's the art of the deal. And it's how you're constructing that deal and understanding what the banks might be interested in and bringing that to them. And that's where kind of coaching comes in, when you've got someone who's been down that road over and over and over again and knows the different scenarios that they might just take. So it's not that this brain is so special. It's just that I've put it into a lot of situations. So you want to catapult on other people's brains, people who've been there before you. And I will let you take over now. So this is Alan. What I'd like you to do, if you don't mind, can you all jump up? You can raise up. You don't have to jump, but jumping's good. And give an amazing warm welcome to Alan.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I'd like to first of all say thank you to Sue. As she said, we met through coaching in Dave Lindahl's program. She was my coach. And because of her, my life has changed. She's been a big part of what's happened in my life and helping direct me in a way that needed to change the things out there. And so when she asked me to come up here, I said, well, of course. It's not a big deal at all. So I just wanted to put together a little thing that tried to show kind of some of the deals that I found over the last 4 or 5 years, and I'll kind of go through the story, and hopefully it'll resonate with some of you guys. And again, during the program, either today or afterwards or whatever, we can sit down and talk if you got questions and whatever, how we did it, whatever. It's not brain science. It's just, it's just sticking with it, hanging in there, and making it happen for yourself. So anyway, this is my company, Firestar Group. And we basically use this as our shell company, which goes out and, contracts the properties that we get, and then like Sue was talking, we put it into their own LLCs and all that whole structure and everything. But anyway, I would like to first of all start off with today and say, what is your passion? What is your passion? There's always a reason why people do what they do. It might be family, it might be, they need money, it might be someone's ill, whatever the deal, but you got to find that passion and then go after it. Stick with it. And I think for me, that's been part of my success, is I'm one of those type A, like, got to get into this thing and make it happen. So it's the passion. What makes you tick? Where do you direct your energy? I find as a coach that sometimes people need to be told, look, you got to direct your energy. You got to start putting that thing in motion and stick with it and put action to it. Where do you direct your energy? I like the thing by Jenny Craig. I'm sure we've all heard of her. It's not what you do in a while. It's what you do day in and day out that makes the difference. The difference between try and triumph is the oomph. So sometimes we need a little bit of oomph to get where we're going. Anyway, for me, these are my reasons. Not only my relationships with Sue and the friends I got my parents, my animals, my family, my friends. These are my reasons. This is part of why I do what I do, because I want to be able to spend time with those people, help them out if they need it. That's just part of my passion, what I do. We just had a friend actually here from Connecticut, and we did a whole walk with the Brain Cancer Association. We do a lot down in Florida because the gentleman in the front, Mark, he has brain cancer. And so we did the walks with him, and so I like to be able to support things like that as well. That's another reason why, so we can be there for other people and support other people in their time of need. So, who am I? Well, this is where I started. I actually, when I was in college, worked at Arby's. Would you like to supersize that? So, I was an assistant manager at Arby's during college. Shortly after college, I was actually, and I think this is part of why Sue and I relate so well, I was a music major in college. And so I'm a little bit on the artsy-fartsy side and kind of like that right brain creative thing. So anyway, not too long after college, actually during college, I also then got a job at U.S. Bank, which at that point in time I grew up in Oregon, and that was an Oregon bank back then. And then from there, I went to a company called Refuge Records, which was a small independent recording company, and I actually lived in New York at that time. And so we helped in the recording studios, helped doing different stuff with the recordings and the productions of stuff that was in their studio. And then not too long after that, our lovely record company owner and the studio ownership decided they were going to sell the studio. One little problem, they didn't tell us. So when the new ownership came in, the choice was you can leave, or you can stay here and start right back at the bottom again and have to do it all over again. So I chose, I don't think I'm going to do that anymore. I started going through the New York Times. Lo and behold, I found an ad for American Airlines. So that was back in 1989. I became a flight attendant for American Airlines. And I'm actually still a flight attendant. I just actually, by the way, put in my letter of retirement with them after 22 years. Why? Because this business has enabled me to get to a point where I could do that. Now, I will qualify that by saying that job is a very flexible job. It's not like most 9 to 5, so I was able to work it for a while to make it work for me. But with this whole thing going on with them, it just was kind of my road sign to say, okay, once again, we're being outsourced, so let's hit the road and take the benefits while we can. So that's me. I was the one who went to Stewart college. I'll never forget when we first got out of training and I started flying out of LaGuardia, New York. This little old lady comes on the plane, with her bag, and she's like, "Excuse me, stewardess boy, can you help me with this?" Of course, me being the smart mouth that I am, I'm like, "Well, what would you like me to do, passenger lady?" Well, this same passenger had more character to her because we'd finished the beverage service, got all the way back to her. "Would you like something to drink, ma'am?" "Nah, but you got anything for gas?" Not really, but I think they're doing enemas in the back. No. But anyway, that was an interesting job. Like I said, I did it for 22 years, flew international, went all over the world, got to see a lot of people, meet a lot of people. It was a fun job. But now I went into the real estate thing about 20 years ago in 1993. And why did I do that? Well, I started the airline job, like I said, in 1990. In 1993, if you maybe remember, we went on strike. The flight attendants went on strike, shut them down for 5 days because of some of the stuff that was going on. And it was at that time that the little light bulb went off in my little head and said, maybe I should do something else here just in case something happens like this again, because that was kind of scary. You know, when you've never been in a situation where you have to walk off the job like that and you don't know if you're walking back in the next few days, you don't know. So I started doing the real estate thing. So I started with the single family home thing back then, which was they had a lot of VA loans and HUD loans at that time where you could freely assume them. If you just found somebody who wanted to sell, you could take over the payments, come up with a little down payment money. So I went that direction. Had no Dave Lindalls, no Sue Nelsons, no really much of anything going on except for maybe Carlton Sheets. And I think, what was the guy's name? Charles Givens. So I got those courses. I probably bought every course out there, by the way. I'm sure you have some of those on your shelves too. So still have them. But anyway, it was on one of the Carlton Sheets thing, actually, that the last little blurb on a DVD that said, if you buy more than 5 units in a multifamily situation, they don't always look at your credit as much. And I had gotten to the point where I had several single-family loans, and so it was a little bit of a problem because the banks were starting to go, well, we don't want to loan you any more money because you've got like 5 loans. What's going on here? So that was my solving situation at that time was, okay, great. Let's go ahead and do the multifamily thing.